Hey, this is Walt with Raybucks, and today we are on day 3 of our 6-speed transmission swap. Just getting ready to take the transmission out of the car, and I thought I would just show you a little bit on how I do it working off the ground. A lot of us don't have the luxury of having a lift, so a couple jacks and just a little bit of muscle, you can get your transmission out by yourself. For me, I like to use these two different types of jacks. This one is a standard transmission jack. The one up in the front there that I have supported on blocks is supporting the motor, and that is just your excuse me, that is just your typical spare tire jack that you get with pretty much any car. I like those as opposed to like a floor jack or something like that. It's small, I can kind of fit it where I need it, and because it's a screw type jack, you can really fine tune like where the position is, especially when you're putting the transmission in and you're trying to align bolts and input shafts and stuff like that. Having the ability to adjust both of these real minimally helps to help get that in, especially when you're trying to do this by yourself. I got most of the bolts out, stuff like that, all the uninteresting stuff. Got a couple of got 2 bolts holding the transmission mount in, 2 bolts holding the tranny in, and that's really it right now. The one thing with these transmission jacks, I've had a problem in the past, especially when you have the car way up in the air. Being that it's just this type of scissor mechanism that lifts it, I've seen it tilt. So if you have the weight of the transmission gets off too much to one side or the other, these things will tend to collapse unevenly, and if you're not careful, the transmission could slide off. So I always make sure that I have it, even though it's not necessarily centered on the pan, it's centered with the like the center of the transmission, so that the weight is evenly distributed. I usually slide it up a little farther forward because of the weight of the converter. We'll want to tip the trans a little bit. So this is how I'm going to do it, and thought you guys might like to see it. Alright, well, I was hoping we would be pretty close with all this, but as you can see, the transmission is way far away from being where it needs to be, and does not look like this is going to go in as easy as I thought. I knew we were going to have to do some cutting in the transmission tunnel, but this has got to cut out a lot, I think, for this to go in. Probably the biggest problem is getting it to go in, once the clutch and everything's in it. I could kind of stick it in the bell housing now and get it up in there because I have some room, but I need to be able to get it, up flush or up level with like the center line of the transmission. So that is going to be a problem. You can see, but it is hitting already. So from probably where I cut it last time, from like back in here forward, that is all we're going to have to be cut out. So it is going to be quite the surgery that we have to perform here. Okay, so getting ready to cut the floor out. Just decided to just take this whole section out. You can see where I traced it with the silver Sharpie. So it's going to go all the way up, and I'm just going to remake all this rather than trying to you know, cut a little bit, see how it fits, cut a little bit. I think I'm pretty far off all the way down, so plus I want to make sure that I have enough room that I can get the transmission up into the tunnel, you know, with the input shaft out past the bell housing yet, so when I go to put it in, there's no weird angles or anything that are going to happen. So probably just going to cut this all out, get the tranny up in there, and then see where my clearances are. If I can get to some of the bolts, there's one bolt that's real high on the top of the transmission that goes to the bell housing. That might be a bit of a problem, so I'll have to see what I'm going to do to deal with that. But yeah, that's where we're at, and time to start cutting. Okay, well, we have a gigantic hole in the floor now, so that transmission better had fit. I noticed after I cut this out that we have just enough clearance now, because if you look, it's a little hard to tell, but the top of that transmission is just below where that floor is cut out now, or the top of the bell housing, which is pretty much where the transmission sits. So yeah, so a lot of fitting and remaking of the floor is going to need done, but I don't know, we'll get the transmission up in there, see where everything's going to sit. I'm curious to see the shifter location, given that we're using a little bit longer F-Series transmission. Hopefully it's where I want it and don't have to run too long of a shifter. I would like to keep it pretty short, but we'll see. Get it up in there and see how it looks. Okay, so we got the transmission in, and there's a gigantic hole here now. It looks like I cut way too much out, but not really. You can't really see it from here, but this transmission is tall on the top side compared to how like an automatic or like a original Chevy 4-speed bell housing or tranny would be. So there's a lot of room up top. Actually, it just barely clears the floor up there. So what I may end up doing is probably going to make this more of a box rather than like a round floor. And I think I may make the top flanged and bolt the top on, and then I'll have to figure out some way to, you know, make a console or do something with it. Maybe not the whole thing, maybe like the front half do solid, and then this back portion I'll make this area unbolt, so I can get the tranny up in here and move it back and forth to get to everything when I need to, if I ever have to take it back out. I don't have any plans of taking it in and out, but you never know. So just want to make sure we plan for that. Shifter position is not bad. Having this F-Series transmission with a little further setback on the shifter does help. I wish it was back a little bit closer. This is a little bit of a reach going all the way forward, but it's not too bad. I think I can get, I know they have some shifter handles that kind of come either angle back or like kind of zigzag up and back. So I think maybe, I don't know how tall this is, but I know they have some 8-inch, I think they're 8-inch shifter handles that just kind of come up off and angle back, so that should be a pretty good position for that. But definitely better than having it, 3 inches forward, because then you're really reaching for it. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun once it's in. So that's about it for today. I don't know, we got a lot of other stuff to do. I don't know if I'll start working on the floor or start figuring out the hydraulic clutch setup. That is going to take some fabrication because we actually have to weld a plate onto the firewall, which is going to take some doing. Maybe even taking the hood and the one front fender off to get to that. But I don't know, it's coming along, so we'll see. A lot more work to go, but should be really cool when it's all done. Let us know if you have any questions, comments. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching.